Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Ishika Jharia, Project Officer and Research Associate for the Sustainable Health and Procurement Project India. And I would like to welcome you all to the Climate Smart Healthcare webinar series that focuses on climate smart innovations happening in the Indian healthcare sector. Today, we are going to share one such innovation or initiative implemented by Jupiter Hospital in the field of energy efficiency. So I'm going to introduce the GGHH and health networks with a brief of the Sustainable Health and Procurement Project. And my colleague Sriram will talk about the climate smart health systems following with the introduction of our speaker, Mr. Nilesh. We invite questions throughout the session, which you can write in the chat box or question answer box. At the end of the speaker presentation, we will have enough time to address them. So starting with that, the Global Green and Healthy Hospitals. So the Global Green and Healthy Hospital is an international network of hospitals, healthcare facilities, health systems, health organizations, whose members are all dedicated to reducing the environmental footprint and promoting public and environmental health in their communities. Here you can see a slide that shows the map of the world where we have members all over, and that is a representation. It represents the interests of more than 36,000 hospitals and health centers. The Health and Leadership Platform, it is the India arm of the GGHH network, and it was established by the Public Health Foundation of India and Center for Chronic Disease Control in partnership with Healthcare Without Harm to develop a roadmap for climate smart healthcare in India, with the specific objectives of showcasing leadership in health systems by reducing its environmental and energy burden, advocating for the importance of intersectoral collaborative policy making to address the health impacts of environmental pollution, and capacity building of physicians on the health impacts of environmental pollution. It has around 73 members that represent 7,700 plus hospitals and healthcare institutions and over 50,000 health professionals. So the goals, the above objectives are achieved by an agenda of 10 goals. You can see on the slide what the 10 goals are, all interconnected and all related to climate smart healthcare. That includes leadership, chemicals, waste, energy, water, transportation, food, pharmaceuticals, buildings, and purchasing. With that, we have a very exclusive project on sustainable health, and the role of procurement here is to influence the environmental impact of healthcare sector operations, and it is well acknowledged amongst the healthcare sector. So to reduce a significant proportion of healthcare sector in greenhouse gas emissions, this project has come up with a 4-year joint project, and with the strategy to reduce toxicity of chemicals and materials in healthcare products, greenhouse gases reduction in the supply chain, and conserve resources. With that, I would like to invite Sriram to talk in brief about the climate smart healthcare.
Hello everyone, good evening. So as my colleague Ishika mentioned, this is another huge initiative which we are working on in India. It's to decarbonize the health sector and help the health sector in educating about the climate smart innovations happening in the rest of the world, and how can we build a green, sustainable healthcare which is also resilient to climate threats. So one of the initiatives which we run in the in India right now is the climate smart healthcare. And with climate smart healthcare, it means very simple. It means choosing options which are low carbon and that are resilient strategies, which will make sure the investments in infrastructure you make in health system are resilient towards these health these climate impacts like heat wave, flood, or even an earthquake. What are the structures you can employ in which will make sure your health system doesn't collapse? So these are the that's climate smart healthcare, very in simple. Uh, it also, by choosing to be climate smart, it just does not help in improving your climate footprint or makes you sustainable and climate resilient. It also improves the access to healthcare. There are a lot of examples globally and now nationally. There are a lot of examples which are coming up which talks about the improve in health access and improve in health efficiency and delivery by choosing to be climate smart and climate resilient. uh, so that is why we want to promote the sustainable development way of moving towards in the health system. Next slide, Shika. So before we jump into our today's webinar, which is on energy efficiency, I just want to touch upon the few principles of climate smart healthcare. They are building, design, and construction. So some of the key components I would like to discuss and give an introduction to all of the viewers today about climate smart healthcare is climate smart healthcare starts with from the ground level, from selecting your site to choosing the infrastructure and the building materials you choose in building your organization, the facility. It starts from there. Investment in renewable energy, which will help in reducing your conventional energy use, waste minimization, and sustainable waste management, not contributing towards the society and the community you live in. Sustainable transport, low carbon procurement policies, purchasing that does not require a lot of carbon intensive activities involved in it, and resilience to withstand extreme weather events, and the overall design of coordinated care, emphasis on local provider and driven by public health needs. So these are some of the climate smart elements which I discussed right now. If the viewers want to learn more about it, you could visit our website, write to us, or search for this report which was published by the World Bank and Healthcare Without Harm. And the initiative which we are managing in India, it's the Health and Environment Leadership Platform, which was established by Public Health Foundation of India and Center for Chronic Disease in partnership with Healthcare Without Harm. This is the Health and Environment Leadership Platform is the Indian arm of Global Green and Healthy Hospitals. So with that, next slide, please. With that, we come to the introduction of our speaker today, Mr. Nilesh Shinde from Jupiter Lifeline Hospitals. He is a Chief Technological Officer right now of the Jupiter Lifeline Hospitals. Mr. Shinde has a bachelor's in engineering in biomedical with a 23 years experience in the health industry. He started his professional career at Birla Medical Technologies in 1997. He's also been a part of the installation team of 0.5T superconducting MRI at Jupiter Scan Center, Thane. He's acquired the Six Sigma Green Belt certification, and he's been trained in the United States of America on spiral multi-slice CT scanner, and he successfully completed greenfield projects with respect to designing of entire services and biomedical technology requirement for 350 bedded Jupiter Hospital in Thane. He has also completed greenfield project with respect to designing of entire services and biomedical technology requirement for 350 bedded Jupiter Hospital banner in in Pune. This project is also certified by the Indo-Swiss Building, the Energy Efficiency Project. Recently, he headed the installation of new robotic ready operation theater in span of 7.5 days, which has become the fastest installation across India. He's delivered lectures on various engineering college without any financial bounding. And he's also received the Thane Gunjan Award from Thane Municipality Corporation for contribution in various fields like biomedical engineering, education, and cultural activities. With all that, I would like to invite Mr. Shinde to start his presentation. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here.
First of all, thanks a lot, organizer, for giving me the opportunity. Now I will start my presentation. Okay. So good evening, everyone. So I'm going to start and I'm going to deliver my lecture on energy efficient Jupiter Hospital. So here I would like to mention that how some of the innovative steps which brings the operational efficiency. I'm going to cover that. So first of all, why this thought of energy efficient hospital has come in our mind. Okay. So before I start something on this topic of energy efficient hospital, I would like to give brief idea about Jupiter Hospital. Jupiter Hospital has been established as a tertiary care hospital, and that lays its foundation on a patient first ideology. And also we are working on greenfield projects. So greenfield projects are having some advantage over brownfield projects in delivering leading edge healthcare, because you can plan your things considering that the requirement or needs of growing population which is around the city. And as well as Jupiter Hospital, we are having an organization policy, philosophy that we never compromise on medical equipment technology. We always believe that whenever we procure something, we need to look into that it will be there, it will last for next 10 years. Because whatever you are bringing it today, down the line after 10 years, it becomes just usable. So obsolescence is a big challenge in the healthcare. So around 2007, Jupiter Hospital, Thane, tertiary care hospital, 350 bedded, has become operational. And if you see here, like along with the medical equipment, we also should have a good medical practitioner or medical team also along with us. So we have integrated treatments in various areas like cardiology, oncology, neurology, nephrology, orthopedy, rheumatology, pediatrics, then as well as organ transplant. So many other specialties we were there from day one. This is the only hospital which has started with hospital and hospitality concept in a one location, in one building. So this was done in 2007. Okay, so as we say that, whenever we start any hospital, it doesn't go up to the 100% occupancy in first year. So it takes its time and we have to slowly increase our bed capacity. This is normally what we do whenever we are starting our operation of the hospital. So similar thing has happened with us also. And during the first few years of operation, we understood that, yeah, there is all the departments are there. Technologically, we are very, very superior at that time. But at same time, we observed that our energy consumption was too high. And when we are saying energy consumption, there is always there in back of the mind, and we always, or it was maybe taught to us that earlier, that it's a light dikha to, yes, light is creating a lot of issue, or maybe that is consuming more energy. But our observation was that HVAC, means heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, was contributing more than 50 to 55 to 60% of entire consumption. So that is a huge number on HVAC. So in 2013, so from 7 to 2013, we were experiencing this challenge of this energy consumption, more energy consumption. And then in around 2013, our management decided that we should have one more hospital in Baner, Pune. And that time, we made up our mind to have a robust HVAC system which can effectively control our energy consumption. Because that was the only thing, if you can do properly in project time, then only it can happen. Otherwise, the problem what we face, because during the project time, we were not aware what about the things we need to take into consideration for energy efficiency in 2007. So finally, what has happened that we are land up in a scenario where it was contributing around 55 to 60% of energy only for HVAC. So our thought process was clear that next hospital, whichever we will build, has to be a robust HVAC system. And what has happened that after that, we have communicated with a lot of energy experts, and those energy experts inform us that you need to communicate with, or you need to send your drawings to architecture drawings to the Indo-Swiss Building Energy Efficiency Project. That is called as BIP. Okay, that is a collaboration between Indian and Swiss government, and this is there from 2014. So somewhere around 2018 November, we have sent our all drawings to the BIP, and luckily BIP has accepted our proposal of designing HVAC system. Now you people who are there in the energy field or maybe in the medical hospital healthcare field, they are aware that there are plenty people of different agencies are there. They are talking about that they can able to do energy savings. Everyone will talk that, no one will say that it is 5% saving. They will always saying that it's 30% saving will happen. Now there is always, everyone will say that, but whether they will deliver that, whether they will monitor that, that time this concept was not there. Nowadays there is a concept available that people are saying that this will happen and then we have to pay. If that saving happen, then only we have to pay for that. But I'm talking about 2014, that the concept was as such was not there. And BEAM, there's a building energy efficiency project panel, has decided and designed this hospital, Jupiter Hospital Pune, under their energy efficiency project. So this is the only project across India which are designed by BEAM. So there are a lot of charrettes happen. So what is the meaning of charrettes? Charrettes means something like that, brainstorming discussion at a stretch of maybe 3 days for what energy efficiency measure we need to execute. So who was a participant? Participant was our own, our MD chairman was himself was a participant in that all the charrettes, along with myself, the project architect, then services consultant was there, BEAM representative were there, Mr. Pierre was there, who's a solid person I came across in my life, who is having a knowledgeable experience about healthcare or maybe for the HVAC part. So they were the active participant, all these charrettes. So now everyone will say, which is that hospital which was designed like that? So this is Jupiter Hospital. This is 350 bedded tertiary care hospital. If you can see that, its location in Pune. Built up area is around 26,500 meters square. So if I convert into square feet, it will be somewhere 270,000 square feet. There are 3 underground floors, 9 ground floors, 1 service floor. So what are technical areas? Finally, it is like radiology, ICU, cath lab. It is a tertiary care hospital. So everything was there. So this was our planning stage. So how the project timeline and key steps has happened. So when they accepted that, so we made very clear to BEAM that you don't only have to design this project, but you have to be also part with us during the execution also. And after execution of project, we need to also do the energy monitoring. And they agreed to that. And here you can see that myself, MD Dr. Ajay Thakkar, Pierre, who was there, part of that, architect, services consultant, everyone was there. Then in 2014 to 16, construction and technical support has happened. Somewhere around December 2016, the inauguration of the hospital has happened. And again, we are doing this from 2018-19 also, we are doing continuously energy monitoring, because that is very, very important. Because once you design something, whether you are achieving it or not, that is very, very important. And that's what we are doing. So here is a case study of the hospital building comparing predicted and actual performance of HVAC parameters. So this is very, very important that you are designing something, but in actuality, whether it's happening or not, that you need to check, and that checking has to be done by third party. So this is what we have done in our Jupiter Hospital. So for any layman, the important is terminology is there in this energy efficiency. Now whatever will go ahead. So it is thermal transmission. So thermal transmission is called as also known as U value. So what is the U value? Is that is the rate of heat which is passed through the structure, which can be a single material or composite, divided by difference in the temperature across the structure. So if there is some material there, if you consider brick wall is there, now there is a heat which will pass from outside to inside, and that as well as if outside temperature is 30 degrees. So how much is inside? So if you do that, that is called as U value. So U value is always measured in watts per square meter dot Kelvin. So the lesser the value of U value, the better is the insulator material. So what is meaning of that? Now this is more or less technology or technical part. Now we'll move ahead. So what is meaning of this thermal transmittance and how it impacts on energy efficiency? Because here we were looking only for the HVAC part, because normally we can do on the architecture part also, we can design the building, but in our case, our architect planning was more or less was ready, and then we introduced ourselves to BEAM. So we were concentrating only on HVAC part. So what is in HVAC part, if you see that there is a called a building envelope. What is meaning of building envelope? So every building is having some terrace. Okay. So normally what happens that before the charrette, okay, in our Thane hospital, so we did the same thing, like as a traditional way, we use 6 inches RCC construction on the roof of the building. And if you see that U value was 1.76 watts per square meter dot Kelvin. So after charrettes, so what is the advantage of charrettes? So what has happened is that we decided that if we use 150 RCC construction and above that if 4 inches XPS insulation is given, it will reduce U value to 0.31 from 1.76. So you understand what is meaning of that? Is that some energy which will get transferred from terrace to the lower floors will get reduced just by doing roof insulation 6 inches RCC construction, and top of that we have added 4 inches polyester XPS insulation, and see the difference what has happened. Please understand that these are the small things are there, but which can definitely help in energy efficiency. Now, when I'm saying that with our own experience, because always practice makes man perfect. Similarly, experience also gives the perfect solution. So similarly, because our same team was there, so whatever maybe mistake, what is the shortcomings which were there in our first property, we made sure that in our second property, we should able to take care of that issues. So this was basically for roof insulation. Now, this is very, very important. It's a glazing. Glazing means what? Now, we always say that there should be natural light should come into the building. Now, when it comes to hospital, that is also very, very important. Now, if you see there's glazing, there are various options. Glazing means glass. Okay. The glass which is what we are putting on the exterior of the building. So glasses means what? Like there is an ordinary single glazing, what we normally use. This single glazing glass, what we use. So what happens that? If you see that U value is 5.88. Okay, here you can see that U value is 5.88. That means more energy or more heat comes inside the building. Once that more heat has come, then we have to make sure that that heat has to go out also. So it is going to impact on the energy efficiency. Now, if you see there down the line, if you see that there are something 2.81, 2.56, 2.01, 1.67. So always anyone will say that what is U value with 1.67? Why not to go with 1.67? Yes, there are two things we need to take into consideration, that the cost effective solution need to become. Because you need to consider cost effective solution, and second thing is that we always believe from hospital point of view, if you are having dark light, yes, it will definitely reduce the energy which is or heat which is transmitting inside the building. But what is the disadvantage? Like patient who are there in ICU, patient who are there in wards, they are not coming here just for the fun. They are admitted here. So for them, feel good factor is very, very important. For them to recover fast, you should have a glass which should be visible also. They can able to see, enjoy that direct sunlight effect, and they should not just have a artificial lighting. And at the same time, we should able to do the energy conservation also. So our team, if you see that our project team has come to conclusion that if I use 6 mm glass outside, which is the outside of the building, and if I'm having 12 mm air gap and again 5 mm glass, this is like a double glaze glass, and which can reduce U value to 2.8 from 5.8. So you can understand that just by doing this activity, I'm reducing, and we are not compromise anything for the patient satisfaction, because that is very, very important when we are saying that we are having an ideology of patient first. So we cannot compromise. So in our hospital, if you see that in our Thane, Pune, as well as in Indore hospital also, all areas where the critical patients are there, is a direct sunlight is coming in the rooms. So this was for the glazing. Now the third part is external wall. So if you see that there are always, we think that there is a 9-inch brick wall, what we use normally with plaster from both sides. The U value for that is 2 watts per square meter dot Kelvin. So after charrette, we decided that if we are using 150 mm autoclave aerated concrete block, that is AAC block, with plaster on both sides instead of 230, what is the advantage? There are 3 advantages. One is that those AAC blocks were easily available at project site, because in between there was a huge availability issue of the brick walls. There is a less structural load on than the bricks, and reduction from 2 to 0.9. So again you can see that by just doing that external wall, some changes in specification, you can able to achieve good U value, and good U value means that will definitely contribute in energy saving. Now, very important, if you see that when I'm saying that there is around 50% of the energy is dependent on HVAC. So out of that HVAC 50%, 19 to 20% depends on chiller. So chiller sizing and selection is very important. Now, if you see that in a city like Pune, or maybe most of the places in healthcare, the load is always like a dynamic load. It's always time. Morning, the load will be maybe around 600 TR. As an example, night it will come down to somewhere around 250 TR. So huge difference is there. So 12 hours something different load will be there. 12 hours full load will be there. So we should have a chiller which is having good part load performance. That is very important. So with the BIP, we have used that dynamic energy simulation software. This has given a really good advantage to size our chiller plant. Now similarly, cooling tower is also plays important role, like water cooled chiller what we are doing. Now free cooling is something which is there and which is real advantage for Pune. So this is an advantage of the city of Pune also, that we could able to do free cooling, because most of the, like in winter season, the temperature goes in night is around 8 to 10 degrees. And we have taken advantage of that free cooling, and that is a real advantage in doing the less energy consumption. Similarly, heat recovery bills, this is the concept what we have used, that instead of air handling unit, we are having treated fresh air. I will go into depth when we'll go ahead. And condenser water, which is for reheating of the air in AHUs to maintain relative humidity. Now, those who are there in medical equipment field, they understand that for medical equipments, humidity is very important. Everyone says that below 60% it has to be there. Now, to maintain it below 60%, there are a couple of things which you can do it. One is that either you can use like what we have done in our first properties, that we put electrical strips to maintain the humidity, but it costs a huge amount. So against that, if you are doing hot water coil, and with the help of condenser water or heat pump, if you get the supply of hot water there, it gives a huge reduction in the consumption of the energy. So these are the points which are there. Now, when we decided about all these points, then we thought about taking the monthly energy consumption of Pune Hospital from May 18 to April 19. If you see here, it has varied from 3,17,000 to 2,81,000. So every month there is a variation. Every month there was a variation. Around 32 lakhs was consumed in a 12 months time. So whatever was happening, whether it is happening as per our energy efficient measures what we have taken. So this was what we have planned. Then hospital started somewhere in 2017. So 2018-19, we did the energy efficiency measure implementation. And we have checked that whether whatever we have done and whatever was there on paper, in reality, whether it's happening or not. So these are the points where we have done the checkpoints to make sure that whether energy consumption is happening properly or not. So now if I show you, now here if you see that energy monitoring of this building, so you can understand that, as I told you, the chillers are 19%, non-HVAC 50%, chiller plant is 16%, AHU is 8%, other HVAC is 7%. We always believe that that lights, because if you see that HVAC part is like in Pune, like we are having 50%. Okay, so what is, when I'm saying 50%, so what are non-HVAC 50%? So in that, the exactly if you see that the lift is around UPS and medical equipment are around 23%, lighting is 10%, lift is 2.5%, and air compressor is 2.7%. So if you see that lighting, what we are talking about, after using LED light, it contributes only 10%. So every time what happens while doing energy conservation, we talk about light will make a difference. So yes, it will definitely will make a difference, But what makes a difference is a HVAC, where you can see clearly it is giving around 50%. So HVAC components are consisting of chiller, cooling tower, chilled water, cooling water pump, treated fresh air, heat pumps. All these things is a part of HVAC. So we will move ahead. So just to get the idea, how is a chiller plant and various pumps, those who are not from the technical side, they will get the idea. So this is called a chiller plant. These are the pumps. Okay, this is my actual snap from our Pune hospital. Okay, just to give an idea about this chiller plant. Okay, now this is very, very important, that what happens. Now, if you see here, there are some figures have been shown here. This is winter, this is summer. Now, if chiller energy consumption, so what happens that condenser, okay, condenser water, we used to keep at around 27 degrees, 28 as the inlet and 32 as the outlet, okay. And we used to get around 1646 units against 1972 units. So what we have done is that, this is per day consumption. So what we have done that, if we reduce the condensation inlet temperature from 27 to 23, these are the results. So please understand very clearly that if you are just playing around with the condenser water temperature, if you reduce it to that much layer, then you can able to do saving of 13% or in winter and 14% in summer. This is a huge number of saving what can happen just by controlling on condenser water temperature. Similarly, this is something called a chiller with part load parallel operation and single. Like if you are having two chiller, instead of running that single chiller on 90%, 95% load, if you are having a chiller with part load, good efficiency, and if you run that on the parallel operation, two chillers with two condensing pump, then two cooling towers, if you do that and two secondary pumps and two primary pumps, then there is a slight advantage of chiller with part load compared to single chiller operation. So these are things what is there possible, we can do it on our day and day activity, and we can able to do the saving there. So now just to get idea of the cooling tower is something like specialized heat exchanger in which air and water are brought into direct contact with each other in order to reduce the water temperature. So we always talk about approach, what is definition of approach, what is range, what is cooling tower efficiency. So this is also one of the important part in the HVAC system is the cooling tower. So this is the actual snap of cooling tower of Jupiter Hospital, Pune. Okay, now as I told you that cooling tower also makes a difference. If I am running two operational cooling towers are there, instead of one cooling tower, you can see that effectiveness is 71 to 61% compared to 49% of one cooling tower. So normally we think that one chiller, then why to have two cooling towers? But if you do it the two cooling towers operational, and if you adjust the parameters properly, you can see there is the effectiveness is there, and you can clearly see with the results which are there. Now this is one more thing what we have introduced in Pune is like TFA and heat recovery wheel. If you see here in Pune, what as I told you that most of the time in winter temperature goes to 8 to 10 degrees, and we have utilized that. So what we have done in our all the typical floors where the patients are there, the ward what we can say. So what we have done that this treated fresh air and heat recovery wheel. So what we have done is that the fresh air has been taken from here. There is a heat recovery wheel is there. And if consider the case, if it is 8 degree or 10 degree air is coming inside, then there is no need of using this coil, chilled water coil. That same air we can, by treating, we can able to send it directly to the respective department or respective wards. So this is the real advantage of having a treated fresh air with heat recovery. Now if you see here, all our exhaust comes from here, and after heat recovery is always moving round the clock, and then this goes out from here. And during winter season, we can always have advantage of this, that directly we can pass. And in case of summer season, if fresh air is somewhere around 33 degrees coming here, this heat recovery makes sure that at least 4 degree down, and this become 29 degree here. Now that 29 degree normally is 33 degree outside ambient temperature. This 29 degree goes to this chilled water supply, and that gives an advantage that the chilled water coil has to 4-degree difference is there, so they have to work less efficiency is used, and that air goes into watts. So this is called a TFA and heat recovery wheel, and which we have utilized there in our new project. So along with that, when we are saying HVAC, there are environment friendly measures are also there, like a zero liquid discharge. Now you should have a STP and ETP is there, where absolute zero liquid discharge will be there. And to what happens with that, that you can use that water for gardening, flushing system, as well as if we treat it properly, we can use for the cooling tower makeup water. So this is possible with the STP outlet water which is there. If you treat it properly with STP and ETP, you can able to do that. Rainwater harvesting system, that is always there. So rainwater harvesting, if you utilize that, that is really will be definitely useful for carbon footprint, reduction of carbon footprint also, and green environment. So this is for rainwater harvesting system. Similarly, there is the energy saving protocols like what we use, that LED lights we can use, then we can use a lift. VFD we need to use it. So variable frequency drive, if you use in AHU, we can able to definitely reduce that. Similarly, heat pumps are there useful for hot water generation. Now, one more thing which is very, very important is that humidity. We discussed that. Like as I told you, I'm from the city MRI. I used to do installation of that earlier. So, and I work with both companies like Siemens and GE. So most of the times it happens that everyone is fear of that, the medical equipment, temperature and humidity. Okay, everyone will say that it has to maintain between 21 to 24 degrees and humidity has to be 60%. Okay, I agree with that. But like what we have done in our hospital is that, okay, during that, when we are taking patient, maybe 12 hours, we can maintain that. But after the working hours, okay, when there is no patient, there is no heat generation from the machine. So that time, you can increase the temperature. There is absolutely no issue at all. If you check the original technical data sheet of any of the company, of any of the make, they will always write till 30 degrees, no issue at all. Relative humidity is also up to 85 to 95% non-condensing. So that will never have any impact of that. Like it will go wrong if it become temperature 25 degrees, something will go wrong. So this is where the BMS comes into picture. If you maintain it throughout 21 or 22 degree, 24 hours, there is no saving will going to happen. But if you do these type of changes, if you do that BMS in such a way that in night time, whenever it is of no use, that time we can change the temperature, it will really give us a great energy saving. Like what we have done is that, if you know that always there is a medical equipment, and for that there is a equipment room is there where the UPS is kept. So UPS and battery is 25 degrees also very, very no issue at all. That is an acceptable thing. So what we have done is that from AHU, if you consider MRI is having 3 parts, like one is console, one is that where we are having a MRI system and the equipment room. So if we are having supply to the MRI room, what we have done, there is a ducting, what we have done, ducting is there, and return from the machine, we have put it into, like if it is 22 degree, we have maintained in MRI room. The return of that is 23 degree that we have fed into UPS. So there is no supply for that. UPS means no pressure supply, supply air is there. We have used the from equipment room, from the procedure room of the MRI, we have used the air into the equipment room. And that equipment room has been gone to again back to AHU. So all these things, small thing, if we do it, there is an energy saving happens. So after doing all these things, now some third party has to say that whether it's really happening in this way, whatever we have planned or not. So if you see our record, this is done by, like if we go as per the BEE, that Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So our hospital is having 4-star rating. Okay, very few hospitals are having 4-star rating, and our energy EPI, the Energy Performance Index, is currently 136. That is one of the best in the industry. Now, if I go ahead, the conclusion. So before I say that this presentation over, we like to conclude that the national benchmark is 200 kWh per meter square per year. Okay, and currently we are 136 kWh per meter square per year. So therefore, a financial term, if I say it is 64 kWh meter square per year, more efficient as compared to national benchmark. National benchmark I have taken from the reference of Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Government of India, ECO 3 project. So if I translate into amount, so I'm saving around 1.92 crores per year. If you see that, this is a huge saving in a healthcare industry. So thank you, friends, for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Nilesh ji, for the excellent presentation and especially covering the technical details. I'm sure we are lacking those in terms of healthcare workers. And we may now start with a question and answer session. So to start with, first of all, there are a couple of questions from the organization. As you know, we work in the space of climate smart healthcare. So the first question is, when taking decision to be energy efficient, how does the management gets convinced to invest more?
Okay, as I told you that as an organization, I'm the founder member of this organization. So along with our chairman and MD, Dr. Ajay Thakkar, 2004, we have started this project in September, and 2007, Jupiter Hospital, Thane was established and it was running or became operational in 2007. So like when we did this, all this installation and commissioning, there was absolutely no compromise on the medical equipment, no compromise on the faculty, okay, or maybe the consultant who are there. But where we were lagging is that we realized that every month, because you understand that when we say 350 bed hospital, we started only with initial with only 115 bed. And we saw that, okay, like normally break even always come after 6-7 years. So it is always that outgoing was more and incoming was less. So every time everyone always look into financial model also. So the similar thing has happened with us also. We were thinking that yes, we have invested so much, there is a good facility available, but where we can do this outgoing, how we can able to control that outgoing. So 2013, when we thought about to start one more hospital in Pune, so there was a brainstorming session was there among us, that what are things we need to carry out to make sure that we can able to control on this outgoing or maybe expenses on the energy. Can we control that? So we thought about that. Yes, it is possible. If 55 to 60% is only concerned on HVAC, we have to concentrate more on HVAC so that we can able to make sure that in our next project, we can able to do the saving. And then we thought that if you see that any of the hospital, when we are building with the land per bed, the cost is around 1 crore to 1.15 crore. This is the actuality for the any tertiary care hospital like us. It is a cost involved into that. So when we are spending so much on that in initial stage, if we do mistake at day one in designing of the hospital services, which is the main and important part of that, which we cannot change later on. When hospital starts, you can't give the any shutdown also or any chiller replacement. It's difficult part at all. In AHU also replacement, we can't get for a couple of days shutdown also. So practically it is not possible. So we thought that yes, now whatever expenses happens on energy to make it robust energy of HVAC system, we have to go ahead, and this is what we have done. And if you ask me what is the expenses what we have incurred on that, you will really surprise, and everyone will think that everyone should do these energy efficiency projects.
Thank you so much for your answer, sir. The next question is, like, how do you, a leader in innovation on energy efficiency, can convince more leaders in healthcare sector to follow your footsteps?
Okay, miss, couple of things which is very, very important, that when we are saying energy efficiency, okay, when we are doing energy efficiency, we are also helping our climate to become green. The carbon footprint will definitely be reduced. We will use more of natural light. We will reduce waste of water, and we can reduce the water consumption. Then we can preserve the water like through rainwater harvesting. Similarly, we can have a telehealth, telemedicine, all these things we can able to do it. Then we can have a renewable energy, which we can implement on site. like solar panel, we can do it there. And as I told you, it is possible. Like if you ask me now, if I go in the cost, what was we incurred by doing all these things, what are changes? As I told you that for the medical services, whatever we complete, the cost was somewhere around 40 crores in that entire project. Okay. Out of that, maybe 10 to 11 crore, 12 crores was only for the HVAC part. Now, if I compare with whatever the cost of the entire project, this cost is less. Only thing, someone has to, like, what happens normally in hospital industry, everyone concentrate more on the infrastructure, interior part of that, as well as the medical equipment. And everyone spend a lot of things on that. They spend a lot of things on debating or brainstorming on which equipment need to be done, which is the CT, MR and cath lab, or maybe any PET CT need to be taken. But the base of the heart of the hospital is also the maintenance of all these chiller, all the services which are there in most of the time in the basement of the hospital. Everyone considers that hospital stands from ground floor onwards. So basement, there are a lot of things are there which are going to play, or maybe they're playing important role in energy also. So now if I tell you that what is the expenses I've incurred for this, that additional cost is around 2.5 CR only. Like if you would have done that, like I'm just giving you an example, if I would have normal chiller and chiller with the screw chiller VFD, with VFD, both things, only screw chiller against screw chiller VFD. Cost difference is only around 10 lakhs, but how much saving I can able to do? Because with part load, we have to consider that we have to have a good VFD control chiller. So all these things are doable. We can do energy consumption. Only thing, our thought process has to change, that yes, we have to also take care of the climate. We have to go green, because currently we are among the first 10 across world who are there, who are maybe contributing to carbon footprint. So we can come down on that. We should not go up in that list. And at the same time, this is the place where we can able to control. Because if you see that for any outgoing or the expenses for the hospital, if I consider that 50% to 55% goes on the HR cost, then 20 to 25% goes on the purchase and consumables. Now, after that, which is the major part, which is impact, is around 5%, 4.5 to 5% on the energy what we are paying. So if we concentrate on that energy, at least some part of that will always give the saving as well as improve your bottom line also from financial point of view.
Thank you so much for addressing these factors. These are very important factors to be considered. And this basically includes cost-effective measures, which is very useful to our audience as well. So I would now like to end the session with a thank you note to you. Thank you so much for your time, and to all the participants, and would ask my colleague Sriram to end the session with a note. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shinde. Thank you for the presentation. That's some amazing work which has happened in Jupiter Hospitals. And thank you for taking time in presenting this wonderful work which has happened in Jupiter Hospital. It's very important to be energy efficient. It's a public responsibility in any organization. And one thing which I want to say before ending this webinar is that our organization has been working on the climate smart initiatives within the health sector for the past couple of years. We've made a lot of, we've taken a lot of footage on both in the public and the private sector, and we've achieved a lot of things in policy and working towards the government. But we've not really spoken about all these issues of or the initiatives within which are energy efficient, which are innovations of successful climate smart initiatives within the Indian health sector itself. And this webinar series, the Climate Smart Healthcare webinar series, is going to be talking about these wonderful initiatives happening within the Indian health sector on how climate efficiency actually paves way to healthy recovery looking forward. With that, I thank Mr. Shinde again for taking time and giving us a wonderful presentation. I thank my colleague Ishika for putting this webinar together. I thank all my colleagues back at Public Health Foundation of India and Center for Chronic Disease Control. who guided us and who helped us make this webinar possible. Thank you for everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see once again in the next webinar session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.